Communism is a type of government. Communism only works on paper. Communism doesn't work. Communism can't work because people are not equal. If communism gives everyone equal wealth, we'll all be poor. Hello YouTube, Red Future here. These are all criticisms that are directed at Marxist thought. They're very commonly stated here on YouTube. Time and time again, someone responds to me or somebody's video stating this and then claims I don't know what I'm talking about when I correct them. We've all been there. Well, here's my reply to all of these. Communism is a type of government that. This is normally stated by people that are quoting some textbook they read. I don't blame them for this misconception. It's stated everywhere and unfortunately sometimes even by new Marxists. Here's an example from howstuffworks.com. Communism is a type of government that relies on the collectivization of labor and goods to equal out the classes. This is not true. It makes a number of mistakes in interpreting Marxist theory. Communism is the stage of society after socialism has been achieved and society has progressed towards a new social order. It in itself is not a government, a way of government to act, nor an economic system. It's a state of social order where there are no classes and technological and economic processes are directed towards supporting of humanity as a whole. There is no state, there is no government in the sense that we know it now. What this definition actually describes is a form of socialism. But normally when people state this, they're making a few assumptions. That this is the only form of socialism and that Marxists specifically require this kind. That this means they get no freedoms if it were the case. And that this results in economic ruin. Socialism is a rather vague term. In its loosest sense, having a government of any kind is socialist. At its strongest, most specific form, it's state control. Socialism, in the Marxist sense, is the use of the economy to the benefit and equaling of the working classes. Collectivization of labor is merely one way of doing this, and even in the typical example of the Soviet Union, it wasn't the only way, nor the primary way it was done, as it was only done in agriculture. It doesn't even have to be state-owned. Marxism requires that it be placed in the hands of the working class. Marxist theory is all about freeing the individual from the enslavement by the capitalist class. Think of the situation you're in now. You don't contribute to society, you're forced to fend to yourself without the benefits of modern society, or in a welfare state, the bare minimum necessary to live. This is the same in communism. If you want the benefits of civilization, you have to be part of civilization. But unlike capitalism, your labor is directed at supplying you with what you need, not paying you a fraction of the wealth your labor generated, so you can then go around and spend it on what you need to survive, therefore giving it right back to them to pay you again later. Communism doesn't require you to do any more than what you're already doing. It merely seeks to give you what you deserve, your fair share of what your labor accomplished. Communism only works on paper. What paper? What part of Marxist theory does specifically say how it should be done? It doesn't. That's why Lenin, Stalin, Mao, and other Marxist leaders each had their own theories and practices to put it into effect. They were trying to work on the specifics. Anyone that states this has absolutely no idea what they're talking about, or has done more than a few minutes of reading on the subject. There are no paper for this to be referenced. If they were talking about a specific idea someone brought forth on the application of Marxism, then this statement has some merit and basis in reality. However, not anyone who said this to me was talking about that. They were speaking of Marxist theory in general. Communism doesn't work. This is ridiculous. If communism doesn't work, then why was the Soviet Union able to go from virtually nothing to taking on the German military in 20 years? Why was the Soviet Union able to rebuild on its own and challenge the West for the next 46 years? beat the US into space. There were limitations to the Soviet system that contributed to its collapse. However, it by no means did not work. It worked quite well for some time. Communism cannot work because people are not equal. This is another misunderstanding of Marxism. Communism requires a society to have equal access to wealth and living, not the hindrance of people's inherent abilities. I've even had people state examples involving basketball tournaments where everybody wins. This is horseshit and willingly ignorant. Marxism requires everyone to have equal wealth so everyone may contribute to the best of their ability to society. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. The requirements in order to perform one's ability is most certainly a need. If communism gives everyone equal wealth, we'll all be poor. If someone says this one, they have no intention of actually debating with you, because it has no basis in reality. According to the U.S. Federal Reserve, there is $8 trillion within the U.S. If you divide that equally, all 300 million Americans would have over $26,000. Everyone. If you only include those that are able to work, no children and elderly, it's almost $50,000 per person. That's $100,000 if in a family if you're married. Of course, under capitalism, such income distribution would collapse the economy as market forces would go haywire. That's why socialism is required for equality. Well, that's my response to these overused responses. All my sources are listed in the bar below. Well, until next time, if you have any questions or criticisms, let me know. I'll be happy to respond. Until then, see you later.